Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So in the last class, we have talked about uh, bubble sort and insertion sort algorithms, and we have also talked about the basic idea behind the sorting algorithms. Okay. Today, we will be talking about the insertion sort as well as the selection sort, and after that, we will be talking about merge sort. Okay. In the last class, we have discussed the basic idea behind the insertion sort. Today, we will look at the algorithm and we will try to understand how the insertion sort works. Okay. So for that, we will take an example. So here you can see an array of six integers. Here you can see an index j. So j indicates that the element which has been inserted into the hand. So what is the basic idea behind the insertion sort? So how it works? So if we consider we have to sort a hand of playing cards, and then we will start with an empty hand, empty left hand, okay, which is called the sorted array, and the cards of face down on the table is called the unsorted array. Okay. Then what we do, we remove one card at a time from the table, that is the unsorted array, and we insert it into the correct position of the proper position in the left hand. That is called the sorted array. Okay. So that means we remove one element at a time from the unsorted array and insert it into the proper position of the correct position in the sorted array. Okay. Now to find the correct position for the card, we compare it with each of the cards already in the hand, okay, from the left to right. Now the cards held in the left hand are sorted, and these cards are originally on the top cards of the pile on the table. Okay. So this was the basic idea behind the insertion sort. Now if we consider an array of six elements, then here you can see that there is one element which is indicated by index j. Okay. Now this element is been inserted into the left hand. That means in the sorted array. Okay. Now on the left of the element is having an element which is found to be greater than the inserted element. Okay. Now what will happen? So if we look at the positions of the elements which are moving in the array, so then we can see that the left of the inserted element here is found to be greater than that element. Okay. Now this element which is found to be greater than of the left of the element will be moved to the right of the inserted element. Okay. So here the inserted element is indicated by j. Okay. So here the element is 2. So left of the element is found to be 5. So 5 is greater than 2. Therefore 5 will be moved to the right of the inserted element. That means the right of the element 2. Okay. And the vacated position will be occupied by the inserted element, that is by 2. That means 2 will move to the vacated position and 5 will move to the right of the inserted element 2. Okay. So if we look at the rows, then we can see that in the first row we have the inserted element 2. 2 will move to the vacated position of the element which has been moved to the right of the inserted element. Then then j will point to the element 4. Okay. So here left of the uh, here the element 4 is inserted into the hand. So after inserting the element 4, so here we can see that the 5 is found to be greater than the 4. So 5 is the left of the inserted element. So therefore, since 5 is found to be greater than 4, therefore 5 will the 5 will move to the right of the inserted element, and then 4 will occupy the vacated position. So in this way, the element will be moved only when the element will be found to be greater than the inserted element. That means if the left of the inserted elements is found to be greater than the inserted element, then only the left of the element will move to the right of the inserted element, and the vacated position will be occupied by the inserted element. Okay. So from this graph, we can understand the nature of the insertion sort. So here we can see the growth rate of the function for the insertion sort. Now we will study the algorithm here. So if we see the algorithm for insertion sort, then we can see here the key value is chosen. So here the key value, first the key value is chosen, which is indicated by AJ. Okay, so here J will vary from 2 to the last element. Okay, and here key is uh, key is assigned by AJ, and then we indicate I by, or we initialize I by J minus 1. Okay, then we execute the while loop. So while loop will be executed with the checking, where I is checking whether it is found to be greater than 0 or not, and AI is found to be greater than key or not. Here key is the AJ and I is J minus 1. Okay. So if both these conditions are found to be true, then only we can we can have the we can swap the elements. Okay, so here we get AI plus 1, uh, initial AI plus 1 by A1. Okay, AI. Okay, and then I will be decremented by 1. So here I will be found to be I minus 1, and then AI plus 1, uh, AI plus 1 will be the key value. Okay, so that means here key, initially the key will be AJ, and whenever both the conditions will be found to be true, then only we get the exchange operation between AI plus 1 and AI. Okay, and after that we the I is decremented by 1, and then we get the key value in the position of A I plus 1. Okay, on the right hand side here you can see that the implementation of the insertion sort. So here the function definition is written. So here you can see the function definition for the insertion sort, and on the left hand side you can see the algorithm for the insertion sort. Now if we talk about the complexity of the algorithm, then we have to think about the worst case, average case, and best case time complexity. Now, when the best case time complexity will be occurred, so for insertion sort, we can perform two operations: comparison and swap. Okay, comparison. These two operations are the basic operations in insertion sort. Now, if the input array is already in sorted order, then insertion sort compares order of n elements, okay, and then perform no swaps. That means if the elements in the array are found to be already sorted order, then insertion sort will compare order of n elements, okay, and there will be no swap operation. So in the best case, the insertion sort runs in order of n time. Now, what will be the average and worst case time complexity? Now, the worst case time complexity will be occurred when the elements of the array is given in decreasing order, okay, or descending order, okay. Now, to insert the last element, we need at most n minus 1 comparison, okay. So if we want to insert the last element, then we need to have n minus 1 comparison and at most n minus 1 swaps. Okay, to insert the second to last element, we need at most n minus 2 comparison and at most n minus 2 swaps. Okay, now to insert the third to last element. Okay, we need to we need at most n minus 3 comparisons and at most n minus 3 swap operations. Okay, and this will go on. So until unless we get the last element to the we get the last element of the array. Okay, now the number of operations which are needed to perform the insertion sort will be then 2 times 1 plus 2 plus n minus 2 plus n minus 1. That means uh, we can have this summation 2 times. That means 2 times of this summation 1 plus 2 plus n minus 1. Okay, now if we calculate the recurrence relation for this algorithm, then we can use this following summation. So what will be the summation here? P into p plus 1 divided by 2. Okay, p into p plus 1 divided by 2. So 2 into n minus 1, n minus 1 plus 1. That means if we think about n minus 1, n minus 1 as n, that means if we replace n minus 1 by n, then we can have n into n plus 1. Okay, n into n plus 1 divided by 2. So here we have n minus 1 in place of n. So n minus 1 into n minus 1 plus 1 divided by 2. So this will be multiplied by 2 because this summation will be obtained after having it multiplied by 2. Okay, so therefore here we multiply the whole summation by 2, then we obtain n into n minus 1. So therefore n square minus n. So what is the dominating term? So in this expression the dominating term is n square. So instead of taking n, we will consider n square for the time complexity of in worst case and average case. Okay, so here the dominating term is n square. Therefore, the time complexity in worst case becomes order of n square. That means the quadratic time complexity. In the best case, we have linear time complexity, that is order of n. But in case of average case and worst case, we will have order of n square time complexity or quadratic time complexity. Okay. You have any questions from here? From analysis part of insertion sort? If you have any questions from here, you can ask me. Okay. The next sorting algorithm is the selection sort. Okay. So we call this selection sort. This type of sorting algorithm is called the selection sort because it works by repeatedly on element. Okay. Now here the idea is we have to find the smallest element in the array. Okay, so this is the first task. We have to find the smallest element in the array. Then we will exchange the smallest element with the element in the first position. Okay, so here you can have the idea that when we have to find the smallest element in the array, then we have to compare the element in the array. Okay, and then we have to find the first smallest element, and after having the first smallest element, we exchange the smallest element with the element in the first position. Okay, and then we find the second smallest element. and we exchange it with the element in the second position. Okay, and we will continue this way until the entire array is found to be sorted. Okay, so this is the idea behind the selection sort. So when we find the smallest element, we need to compare all the elements in the array. Okay, and after having the first smallest element, we exchange it with the element in the first position. Okay, and then we find the second smallest element, and after having the second smallest element, we exchange this second smallest element with the element in the second position of the array. Okay, and we will continue for the remaining elements also until and unless the entire array is found to be sorted. Okay, now the selection sort is called the simplest sorting algorithm technique. It works very well on small files. That means if the smaller number of elements are present in the array, then this selection sort algorithm will work very well. Okay. Now let us try to understand the algorithm with an example. So here the array is having four elements: 1, 10, 23, minus 2. So in the first pass, we will find the smallest element. So in this array, the smallest element is minus 2. Okay. When the minus 2 will be found, the minus 2 will be exchanged with the first element in the first position. So what is the element in the first position? The element in the first position is 1. So therefore minus 2 will be exchanged with 1. Okay. So after exchange with 1, we found minus 2 in the first position. Okay, and 1 in the position of the first smallest element, that is minus 2. Okay, so this will be done in the first pass. In the second pass, so minus 2 is found in the first position, the first smallest element in the first found in the proper position or the correct position. Then we go for the second smallest element in the second pass. So second smallest element is the 1. So after having the second smallest element 1, the 1 will be exchanged with the element in the second position. So here the element in the second position is 10. So 1 will be exchanged with 10. So after having the exchange operation, we will find the 10 in the 10 in the 10 in the position of the element, second smallest element. Okay, and second smallest element will be found in the element of the uh, second position. That means second position of the array. So all this will be done in the second pass. In the third pass, we will go for the third smallest element. So here the third smallest element is 10. So after having the third smallest element, the third smallest element will be exchanged with the element in the third position. So here the element in the third position is 23. Therefore 10 will be exchanged with 23. Okay, and 10 will go to the position of the 23, and 23 will come to the position of the third smallest element. Okay, so this will be done in the third pass. In the fourth pass, we will go for the next smallest element, that is fourth smallest element. So next smallest element is the last element of the array, since there are four elements in the array. Okay, so here 23 is the last smallest element, and here we found that 23 is found uh, at its position. Okay, so 23 is found at the proper position of the partially sorted array. So after the fourth pass, we can have the fourth smallest element in the proper position. And since this is the last element, therefore, after fourth pass, we found the array is sorted. Okay. Now here you can see the algorithm as well as the implementation of the selection sort. So if we look at the algorithm part, then we can see that there is a comparison aj less than minimum x. Okay. So we first initialize the minimum j by I, then minimum x by a aj. Okay, and then we will execute a for loop which will vary from I plus 1 to n for j, for every j uh, I plus 1 to n. Okay, so here j will vary from I plus 1 to n, and then we have the comparison operation where we compare aj less than minimum x. Okay, so aj less than minimum x will be executed same number for every case, each and every case. Okay, that means for every element we will see that this comparison operation will be same. That means this comparison operation will be found to be same for each and every case. But if we look at the programming part after then we can see that because of this then part, this algorithm will vary. That means because of this part, the time complexity will vary. Now, if we consider the worst case time complexity, then we will see that worst case time complexity will be found when the elements are found to be in descending order or in the reverse order. Okay, so in that case, the algorithm will be found to be very sensitive. That means if the elements are found to be in reverse order, then the worst case will be occur, and for that worst case, the algorithm will be found to be very sensitive. But if we if we go for the original order, that is not the ascending order or the descending order. Okay, then that original order of the array elements which is to be sorted will not be found to be very sensitive. That means this selection sort will not be found to be very sensitive on the original order of the array elements which is to be sorted. Okay, so therefore, the selection sort will be found to be sensitive only in case of elements are found to be in reverse order or descending order. Otherwise, other than the reverse order or ascending order, the algorithm selection sort algorithm will not be found to be very much sensitive on the original order of the array elements. Okay, so time complexity will vary because of this then part of the algorithm, and this comparison operation will be found to be same for each and every case of the element or the iteration. Okay, here you can see the implementation part on the right hand side. So here the function definition for selection sort is given. So you can use this function definition for writing a program on selection sort. Now we will see the analysis, we will see the time complexity for worst case, best case, and average case. Okay, now as I said that worst case occurs if the array is found to be in descending order. Okay, and the selection sort spends most of its time trying to find the minimum element in the unsorted part of the array. So minimum element, whenever selection sort tries to find the minimum element, okay, from the unsorted part of the array. So basically it will try to compare one element with all the remaining elements in the unsorted array. Okay, so here the selection sort is quadratic in both the worst case and average case, and it requires no extra memory. That means this is called the in place algorithm. Okay, that is why this is called the in place algorithm, because it does not require extra memory. So if we consider an element I from 1 to for each I from 1 to n minus 1, then there will be one exchange operation and n minus I comparison. Basically, this n minus I comparisons are required to find the minimum element. That means the for the first minimum, second minimum, third minimum, and so on. So if we consider we need to find the first smallest element or the first minimum element, then how many comparisons will be required? Then n minus 1 comparison will be required. Okay, and there will be one exchange operation. That means for each and that means for each element, for each minimum element or each smallest element, we need to compare n minus I times. Okay, and there will be one exchange operation. Okay, so therefore the total number of exchange operation for n elements will be n minus 1 exchanges. Okay, that means the total number of exchange operation will be n minus 1, and total number of comparisons will be n minus 1 plus n minus 2 plus n minus 3 up to 1. Okay, that means n minus 1 comparisons will be required for the first smallest element, n minus 2 comparisons will be required for the second smallest element, n minus 3 will be required for the third smallest element, and so on, and last one will be required for the last smallest element. Okay, so therefore what we will do to have the total number of comparisons, we need to sum up all these comparisons, uh, all these comparisons for the n number of elements. Okay, so n minus 1 plus n minus 2 plus n minus 3, so up to plus 1. Okay, and if we obtain the summation of these comparisons for n elements, then we will obtain n into n minus uh, here n into n minus 1 divided by 2 comparisons. Okay, so n into n minus 1 divided by 2 comparisons, and total number of exchange operations will be n minus 1 for each element. The number of exchange operation will be 1, and for n number of elements, the number of exchange operation will be n minus 1. So in the worst case, the time complexity will be quadratic. Okay, and the running time of selection sort is quite insensitive to the input. So why it is called the insensitive to the input? When we use the original order of the array elements. Okay, but in case of, as I said, that in case of descending order or the reverse order, the algorithm will be found to be very sensitive. Okay, otherwise the selection sort algorithm is not found to be very sensitive to the input. Any questions from this part?
No, sir.
Okay, the next algorithm is the Marsh sort. So here the Marsh sort is based on the divide and conquer paradigm. Okay, so what is divide and conquer paradigm? Or let us look at the algorithm, then we will try to understand what is divide and conquer paradigm. The worst case running time has a lower order of growth. That means the growth rate of the worst case running time for Marsh sort is found to be less than that of insertion sort. In case of insertion sort, the growth rate of the functions will be found to be more than that of the Marsh sort. So this will be seen in case of worst case running time. Okay. Now, since we are dealing with the sub problems, we need to state each sub problem as a sorting, a sub array, uh, a PR. So here A is the array, P is the first element, R is the last element. Okay. So P indicates the first element, R indicates the last element. Here capital A is the array. Okay. So now we will try to understand the divide and conquer strategy or paradigm through sorting the array elements. Okay. So now the first step of this strategy is the divide step. So here the given an array will be given. Okay. Now the given array A has 0 or 1 element. If the given array A has 0 or 1 element, then that element will simply return. Otherwise, what we do, we split the array into two sub-arrays. Okay, so here we split the array APR into two sub-arrays APQ and AQ plus 1 R. Okay, and here Q is the halfway element. So half of the elements will be found in the sub-array APQ, and remaining half of the element will be found in the other subarray a of q plus 1 r. Okay, so here q plus 1 is the first element of the second subarray and r is the last element of the second subarray. And here in the first subarray, p is the first element of the first subarray and q is the last element of first subarray. And here q is indicated as the halfway element, okay, or halfway point of the array. Okay, the second step is the conquer step. What conquer step does? So conquer the conquer by recursively sorting two subarrays a p q and a q plus 1 r. Okay, so here we conquer by recursively sorting these two subarrays. So this is done in the second step, conquer. Okay, and the third step we combine. So third step is known as the combine step. So in the third step we combine the elements back in the original array. That means APR is the original array. So here we combine the elements back in the array by merging two sorted subarrays. Okay, so here the subarrays are here two subarrays are merged together. Okay, and this when these two subarrays will be merged, so these two subarrays will be found to be sorted. Okay, these two sorted subarrays will be merged together into a sorted sequence. Now to accomplish this step, we will define a procedure merge, and this procedure will be the algorithm for the merge sort. Okay, so here you can see the merge sort procedure. So this merge procedure will be included in the merge sort algorithm. So here merge sort will be performed on the array A with the first element P and last element R. Okay. So first we will check whether P is found to be last element or not. That means the first element is found to be uh, less than last element or not. So if it is so, then we will find the halfway element by applying this floor function over the summation p plus r divided by 2. Okay, that means here in this step we divide the array into two equal halves by obtaining the halfway points or halfway element q. Okay, so in the third step here we apply the merge operation. Okay, so this is the part of the conquer step, and uh, remaining two merge operations are also part of the conquer step. So here we merge the two sorted subarrays to obtain the sequence, and that will be taken back into the original array. Okay, that means merge when we apply the merge operation. So first merge operation is apply on the array with the first element p and last element q. That means this is the first subarray. We apply the merge operation on first subarray. Then we apply q plus merge operation on the second subarray, and finally we merge. That means finally we combine two sorted subarrays and obtain a sequence. Okay, and this sequence is taken back into the original array. Here we try to understand. Here we try to understand the merge operation with this bottom-up view. Okay, so we can start from the bottom of this. We can bottom of this elements here. Here you can see that the 5 and 2, 4 and 6, 1 and 3, 2 and 6. Here 5 and 2 are two sorted subarray, 4 and 6 are two sorted subarray, 1 and 3 are two sorted subarray, 2 and 6 are two sorted subarrays. Now when we merge 5 and 2, so when we merge these two sorted subarray, we obtain a sequence of sorted array. That means 2 and 5 are sequence of sorted array. Okay, when 4 and 6 will be merged, we will obtain a sequence of sorted subarray in which the 4 and 6 elements will be there. So similarly 1 and 3 we can apply the merge operation for 1 and 3 for 2 and 6. Okay, now after merging we will obtain another four sorted subarrays. Okay, 2 and 5 is one sorted subarray, 4 and 6 is another sorted sub-array, 1 and 3 is another sorted sub-array, 2 and 6 is another sorted sub-array. So now in the next step we have four sorted sub-arrays. Okay, now 2 and 5 and 4 is 6 is the sorted sub-arrays. Now this two sorted sub-arrays will be merged together, and when these two sorted sub-arrays will be merged together, we will obtain a sequence of sorted another sequence of sorted sub-array in which the elements will be found to be sorted. That means elements will be found to be in ascending order. Okay, so here 2, 4, 5, 6 are given in ascending order. Similarly, 1, 2, 3, 6 are given in ascending order. That means here 2, 4, 5, 6 is one sorted sub-array, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 6 is another sorted sub-array. Okay, so in the next step we obtain two sorted sub-array. Now, in the final step, we will merge these two sorted sub-arrays and obtain a sequence of sorted array. Okay, a sequence of sorted array in which all the elements will be found to be in sorted order. That means in ascending order. So, whenever this sequence will be found, this sequence will be found in the original array. Okay, that means this sort of operations merge. When this merge operation will be initiated, so after having this merge operation, so finally we will obtain a sorted sequence, and this sorted sequence will be found in the original array. Okay, that means this sorted sequence will be taken back into the original array. Now, in this merging operation, what will be the input and what will be the output? So, input will be the array A and indices P, Q, R. Okay. So, P, Q, R will be given in such a way that here P will be found to be less than equals to Q. Q will be found to be less than equals to R. Okay. And the subarray A of PQ is sorted, and subarray A of Q plus 1 R is sorted. So before we initiate the merge operation, we need to have the subarrays to be sorted. Okay. And what will be the output? So output will be the two subarrays. When the two subarrays will be merged together, so we will obtain a sorted subarray. That means either sorted subarray or sorted sequence we obtain. Okay. Now we can implement this, and it will take order of n time. Okay, where n equals to r minus p plus 1. So here r is the last element, p is the first element, and when we subtract the p from r, we have to add 1 so that we obtain the count should be the correct. Okay, if we do not add if we do not add 1, then we do not have the correct count of the elements. Okay, so therefore we need to add this one to have the correct count of the elements. Okay, so this n represent the number of elements which is to be merged. Now when we merge the merge two sorted subarrays, so that will take a linear time. Okay, so order of n. So this what is the idea behind this merging, which takes linear time? Okay, now we can think about two piles of cards. So each pile is sorted and placed face up on a table with the smallest cards on the top, or smallest card, or we can say the smallest element on the top. Okay, now we will perform the merge operation, and this merge operation will give us a single sorted file, or single sorted sequence. Okay, so this single sorted sequence will be found face down on the table. Now here we will look at the basic step. So first we choose the smaller of the two top cards. Okay, then we remove it from its piles, thereby exposing a new top card. That means when we will remove the smaller cards from the two sorted files, then we will expose a new top card. Then we place the chosen card face down onto the output file. That means this output file is nothing but the sorted file, or we can say the sorted sequence. Okay. Now repeatedly we perform these basic steps until one input file is found to be empty. Okay. So once one input file is found to be empty, we will just take the remaining input file and place it face down onto the output file. Okay, or output file. So here each basic step should take constant time, and since we check just the two top cards, there are at most n basic steps. Okay, so n basic steps mean for n number of elements, since each basic step removes one card from the input files, and we started with n cards in the input files. Okay, and therefore the procedure should take order of n time. That is why this is called the linear time merging. Okay, so this is the idea behind linear time merging. Now there is a question that do we need a check whether a pile is empty before each basic step? That means every time when we remove a card from two sorted piles, then the new card will be exposed. Okay, new card on the two sorted piles will be exposed. Now, how to check whether one pile is found to be empty? That means every time we need to check whether the pile is found to be empty or not. Okay, that means all the cards are already been placed to the place face down on the output pile or not. Okay, that means after removing one card, we need to check whether the input pile is found to be empty or not. Okay, now that is why this question is posed as do we need to check whether a pile is empty before each basic step? So each basic step means when we remove a card from the input pile and place the card to the output pile. Okay, so the answer will be no, because uh, we don't need to check whether a pile is empty before each basic step, because if we put a sentinel card means that this sentinel card will prevent us to check whether a pile is empty before each basic step. Okay, so that means this sentinel card will be placed at the bottom of both the input piles. Okay, so once the sentinel card is exposed, that means that sentinel card will indicate the input pile is found to be empty. So that means we do not need to check whether a pile is empty before each basic step. Okay, that is why we place a sentinel card at the bottom of both the input piles, and whenever one input file is found to be empty, that means when the sentinel card is found to be exposed, then we will found that the input file is found to be empty. And then other input when one input file is found to be empty, we will just take the remaining input file, okay, and place it face down on the onto the output file. So that means on every basic steps, after every basic step, we do not need to check whether a file is found to be empty or not. Any questions from this part?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's all for today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.